By the way, Pinocchio, there was a cookie missing from the jar. Did you take it by any chance?
Yes, Papa Geppetto. I'm sorry.
Are you sure you took it? Because, I'd believe you if you said you didn't.
No, I took it, Papa. I wouldn't lie to you.
You could try. Who knows, you might get away with it.
Hit me!
Ladies and gentlemen,
Get into it.
it's small time.
Man, you don't know.
Get into it, get on up.
That island was really a cesspool. There's no question about it. Just ask Prince Andrew. He'll tell you about it. The island was an absolute cesspool.
This video really isn't a Walt Disney commentary video. It's more like a comparison video, comparing what is said in Hollywood movies or a message that can be seen that can be compared to today's times. So I was talking to a friend of mine, and we were talking about, Pleasure Island, and Pleasure Island is the island in the movie Pinocchio, the Pinocchio cartoon made by Disney. And whenever we talk about Pleasure Island, I think about Epstein Island, because that's what it could be compared to. A lot of us know with the recent arrest of Ghislaine Maxwell that she was part of the whole Epstein thing, and Epstein, who is known as I can't say the word. However, it goes a whole lot deeper than that. There are other channels that talk about how deep it can possibly go. I'm not going to go that deep there because this isn't really an Epstein video. It's more about talking about the lies that we hear every day. The lies that, what newspaper is it? Is it the one of the Washington papers that gives Pinocchios out? They gave, I remember, Adam Schiff about 4 Pinocchios back in the day with all the lies that he said straight to your face, straight to our face.
So there's clear evidence on the issue of collusion, and this adds to that body of evidence. There's ample evidence of collusion in plain sight, and that is true.
Have Democrats found any evidence of collusion?
Yes, we have. You can see evidence in plain sight on the issue of collusion, pretty compelling evidence. And there is significant evidence of collusion. There is ample evidence, and indeed there is, of collusion of people in the Trump campaign with the Russians. I think there's plenty of evidence of collusion or conspiracy. All of this is evidence of collusion. There is significant evidence of collusion between the campaign and Russia.
Another one that lies so much is, of course, AOC.
Do we think this has to do with the fact that there's record unemployment in the United States right now? The fact that people are at a level of economic desperation that we have not seen since the Great Recession? Maybe this has to do with the fact that people aren't paying their rent and are scared to pay their rent. And so they go out and they need to feed their child and they don't have money. So you maybe they're put in a position where they feel like they either need to shoplift some bread or go hungry that night.
She's a social media politician. That's what I call her. She has over 1 million followers. She gets plenty of money for her campaigns or whatever. I'm a firm believer that those people that run for office, unless you're running for president, you shouldn't be permitted to take money from outside of your district because it just doesn't seem very, very fair at all that people donate millions of dollars to a person that's running in a district of which those people that are donating do not live in. But AOC, she's just another puppet, obviously, with a growing nose, But let me make this comparison. You have someone like Nancy Pelosi and AOC. I call them the blue fairies. The same blue fairy in Pinocchio. She tells Pinocchio, prove yourself truthful and unselfish, and someday you will be a real boy. Because, he asks, am I a real boy? She also says, and always let your conscience be your guide. These lines, pretty much hold true throughout the whole thing. But it's the fact that she could have turned him into a real boy. She's making a promise to him, but he has to jump through a whole lot of hoops. It's almost like the Democratic Party, the blue party, that makes us all these wishes and promises and when they're running on campaigns, but you got to jump through hoops. And then at the end, they don't come through. Another thing that she does to poor Pinocchio is that whenever he lies, his nose grows. The Democratic Party is the one that pulls the strings in many people's lives. These They control the liberals that are out there in the world, as you see with the recent riots and these protests, because people are outraged about something. It's really senseless what is going on. And I say that only because we see it time and time again. In the story of Pinocchio, you have Honest John. And Honest John is working alongside the coachman, and their agenda is to kidnap these little boys and to make slaves out of them, basically. And they convert these boys into jackasses. Could you believe that? Jackasses. Pretty much like the jackasses that we see on mainstream media today that are having their strings pulled, jumping through hoops for the Democratic Party, and also lying to us at the same time.
Well, Martha, to be clear, we're in this position because the Trump administration failed to act. As early as January and February, the Trump administration and the president specifically knew that COVID-19 was a threat, and they did nothing. We're still trying to figure out what the president exactly was doing in January and February.
Who is she trying to convince? See, it's all a lie, and her nose is growing. Because what was going on in January and February? Of course, Trump was being impeached. While he was being impeached, he was taking care of business as he should and shutting the country down, not allowing flights to come in as far as that goes. And she's going to sit there and say that he did absolutely nothing. And there are people that are completely convinced of what she is saying, which is what my point is exactly. There's a bunch of jackasses out there making and creating more jackasses. You have Biden, who is Honest John, and you have a coachman who is Pelosi, who is lying to the public, trying to guide you into a position where you cannot get out of. They will destroy this country. If you watch the movie Pinocchio, you will see that those poor boys were put into cages, except for those that were still able to speak. They were set to the side. Why? Because probably they'd be able to say something like, we do have a First Amendment. We are permitted to say whatever we want, right? But the First Amendment only works for them. They can say whatever they want, but of course, we can't say whatever we want. But we of good conscience, because, let our conscience be our guide. We know what the answers are, and we know which direction to take. And we will not allow ourselves to be led to some type of pleasure island, which of course is dangerous. We will not allow ourselves to be led into boxes or cages. We have to see through the lies and not be subjected to them. We cannot listen to the blue fairies that are still flying around and trying to tell us that they're going to grant us wishes. They've been granting us wishes for many, many years, and they just don't come through. They say it, they don't do it. That's the way it is.
Go ahead. Make a fool of yourself. Then maybe you'll listen to your conscience.